Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm here in Melbourne, Australia, and my name is Joe. My nickname's Blowy, and I'm here with, well, not here, but over in Japan is my brother David.
Yep, g'day. I'm David, known as Kama or Kamo, Kamikaze, whatever you want to call me. And I'm here on a tea farm near Shibushi, Kagoshima in Japan. Let's take a walk.
And I'm going to take a ride.
Okay, so Blowy, first, why don't we explain our nicknames to everybody as we take this walk?
Good idea, Kama. So I'll explain your nickname, which is Kama, and as you briefly described, Kamikaze. So when we were younger, we used to rollerblade, and we'll get into that a bit more later, but David used to be the first person who could do a flip out of the bowl, and people used to think it was crazy, so they said, mate, he's a kamikaze, and that got shortened to Kama, and that's why his nickname is Kama. So Kama, why don't you tell him about my nickname?
Sure, good timing as well, because I'm just walking past a couple of goats, poor goats shivering out in the rain. One of these tried to barge me the other day. You can see they're tethered. And it looks like there's some cattle over here as well. But yeah, you're known as Blowy. Some people think it's because it's a blowfly or something like that. But it was actually a quick spur of the decision nickname that was made by me. We were doing a video with a youth group, and it was a really boring video about blading, but everything was locked off on tripods. There was no creativity really. It was all very safe filmmaking. And we were getting to the part at the end of the edit, and the guy who was supervising us from the local Christian college said, okay, so let's put the nicknames in, and he asked us for us. So I was Kama, my mate Ben was Swami, and then Joe came up, and Joe didn't have a nickname. But the guy said, what's Joe's nickname? And I said, oh, here's a chance to be a bit cheeky. And I just said, what's the worst nickname I can think of on the spot? And I was just thinking Joe Blow, Blowy, because you know Blowy has connotations with head jobs and things like that. So I just said, Blowy, I said confidently. And the other guys looked at me kind of with a smirk on their face, and he started typing Blowy into the caption. We got the video back and we're watching it and everything's fine. And then it comes to the section where all the skaters are being interviewed. And it says, Joe Blowy Stewart. And Joe was there. He looks at me and goes, oh, you're a dickhead, Kama. And that was forgotten about. But then about, I don't know, a year or so later, we lent the video to a friend, Brett Ferguson.
Passing on the right. Okay.
We lent this video to Brett Ferguson, and so he watched it. And the next day he saw Joe at school, and he legitimately thought that Joe's nickname was Blowy. So he said, oh, g'day Blowy. And after that, there was no stopping it. It just kept rolling like a freight train, that nickname. Still to this day.
And as a good nickname goes, you hate it at the start, and then I couldn't stand it, but now I don't care. It's perfectly fine. And it took about 6 months, and then I was fine with it. So
beautiful. Okay, now Blowy, this was your idea to do this little slow TV experiment. So why don't you explain what was going through your head?
All right, well, Dave and I, or Kama and I, or I'll refer to him as both, we've always wanted to do collaborations over the years, and I was actually planning on going to Japan this time of year, but I had to cancel my flights due to the coronavirus, obviously, and we were going to catch up and make a video wherever he was. We weren't sure on what we're going to do, but yeah, kind of put an end to those plans, and we had to think of another way how we could make a video from him in Japan and me in Australia. And I thought, oh, why don't we make a podcast type of video where we both, wherever we are at that point in time, we take the audience on a ride or a walk or a skate or a drive or whatever. So hopefully you enjoy this and you enjoy coming for a ride with us and a walk with Kama.
Yeah, so I was originally intrigued by the idea. I just think if nothing else, we've got something beautiful as a virtual kind of time capsule for ourselves to look back on, and I'm sure some people would like to put this in the background while they're doing the ironing or cooking dinner or something. And like you said, Blowy, people are happy to watch, sit down and watch other people play video games for hours on end. So, you know, a stroll or a ride through some beautiful scenery, why wouldn't you?
Did you see the goats?
Yeah, I went past them. We've gone
they
past
awake?
the goats. Yeah, they were awake. They were a little bit hesitant to kind of come near me. But these goats, yeah, it's only like the second time I've seen them. But anyway, I thought what we could do today, because we'll probably have talking points every week or every time we do this. So I thought today we could talk about some of our brojects. Now, broject, of course, is a portmanteau of the words brothers and projects. And we've had a few of them, haven't we, Blowy?
Yes, we have.
So the first one I wanted to go into was one of our earlier ones. I think it was about 1997 or 1998. And I was, one of my jobs was selling homemade soap at the markets in Brisbane. And we decided that while I'm there, I could also put something else on the table. So Blowy, you were the one that came up with this idea. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Putting something on the table.
Yeah, what did we make in the late 90s?
Oh, hang on.
I tried to sell at the markets.
Hang on, Kama, I've got something interesting to see here.
Yeah, tell me about it.
A yellow-tailed black cockatoo.
Oh, nice.
Massive. He's like big. I don't know if the camera's picking him up here, but he's in the bushes just over there.
Well, because you specified we had to have wide angle on, super wide angle, you probably can't see it. But that's the price you pay.
Oh, there's another one. There's another one over there as well. They're pretty aggressive, these things. Well, they don't attack you, but they make a lot of noise and they do a lot of damage to the trees, like they go Burko.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just
anyway,
continue. I'm just walking past some kind of field. I thought they were strawberries at the start. They've basically had mounds covered with little bits of black plastic. And there's a little wheeled device that people seem to sit on or put little seedlings on as they plant them. That reminds me of the ones at Burpengary at the strawberry farm. Do you remember those ones?
Yes.
So anyway, I'm talking about the photo frames that we made in the late 90s. Do you remember that, Joe?
Yeah, I do remember those, yeah.
Now, you saw a photo frame that I had been gifted.
Yes.
And you came up with a brilliant idea. So tell me about that.
Well, for Christmas, I'd been given a jigsaw from Mum.
How many pieces?
So when I say jigsaw, I mean a Black & Decker power tool. Classic joke, Kama. And yeah, jigsaw, for those of you that don't know, like Kama, it's a power tool which is used to cut shapes in wood. So that's why I call it jigsaw, because you could make the shape of a jigsaw out of the wood. So I'd been gifted that for Christmas, and I wanted a chance to use it, and I thought, oh, we could make these things real easy. So
the photo frame, just to explain to everyone, it was like a stylized old TV, and it was one piece of wood. It was probably about 40 centimeters high, and yeah, basically painted, I think, from memory, purple. But Blowy saw this and he said, he looked at the back of it, he said, you know, we could make these very easily, Dave. And
how much did you pay for that, photo frame, David?
Oh, I don't remember, but I'd say 30, 40 bucks.
They weren't cheap, were they?
No.
So, we can post a picture of it on our Twitter.
Oh, yes. Good idea.
Kama and Blowy.
So we drew up some designs. I remember doing a toilet, and inside the toilet is where the photo appears. We also did some crazy faces with the mouths wide open, and we put the photos in there as well. But I think, how many did we make in total? Probably only about 6 or 7, wasn't it?
Yeah, there weren't a whole lot. I think the biggest part of the process was painting them, because
yes, we used oil.
Our dad's a painter, and he told us that we used the wrong paint. He wasn't happy with our choice.
No.
Morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have went with a fast drying acrylic, but instead we chose a oil paint, which took a long time to dry.
And I remember it getting like cat's hairs and things on it that we had to peel off, and it was a nice gloss at the end though.
Oh, it's lovely. They'd last forever. They're probably still around.
Especially that red.
Now, did we actually sell any?
No, I remember taking them into the markets with me with my soap, and I remember there was a lot of interest in them. People were kind of picking them up and laughing about them, but I don't think I sold any. I think you sold one to a friend or something.
Maybe out of they felt sorry for us or something, so they bought one. But I don't think we actually sold any.
No.
Because I remember having a lot around the house.
But anyway, I think, this was one of the brojects, the early brojects, where it wasn't something that we're asked to do for school or someone else's idea, but just two brothers embarking on a project together. And it's become somewhat of a tradition now. That's
right. And today we're going to go through, just list a few of those brojects that we've done. And what was the next one, Kama?
Next one, Ictum Inline.
Ictum Inline. So this, I'm going to have to break down the name for you first, because
there's a bit of a story there, isn't it?
Yeah, the name Ictum Inline probably means nothing to you. So first of all, we'll break down the word Ictum. So Ictum was a word, it's I can do a method. So it was basically, I had a mate, and his little brother would do a method. Now a method is an inline skate trick, which you jump up and grab your legs bent behind you, and give it a little tweak, and that's called a method. So
often referred to as a method air.
A method air, exactly. Now the young man who could do a method, his name was Bevan. So we called it Ictum. And then inline refers to inline skating, rollerblading. We used to be keen rollerbladers back in the day. We still are. And so we made ourselves a rollerblading magazine. Now, this was before computers were as widely available as they are now. And we were lucky enough to have a digital camera. It was a very, 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 very early model.
Yeah,
I believe, was it Olympus?
A big bulky one that I picked up during my first trip to Japan.
For Mum, wasn't it?
It didn't even have a memory card slot. It only had onboard memory. And you could take either 20 large pictures, which were all under 1 megapixel, or 80.
Oh, it was way under 1 megapixel, wasn't it?
Oh, they were tiny.
Yeah. I think they might have been like about 300 pixels by 300 pixels wide or something.
That. Yeah.
Yeah.
What they'd be used as thumbnails today, basically. But anyway, it was a digital camera, and we had a computer and a very early version of Photoshop before it was called Photoshop.
Yeah, what was it called? It was called it wasn't even Adobe. It was called Adobe Photo.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh. But let's not worry about that at the moment.
Oh, look, all these little nit bits are important bits to trigger the memories, Kama.
Sure. But we would load it into this program, and we would play around with it, and we learnt, you know, we learned how to use the selection tool, and we applied some very novel kind of effects to these pictures, and then we'd print them out.
Also, we would use old school techniques like the photocopier. We would get photos that we took with our film cameras, and we would photocopy the picture, enlarge it, and cut out our body and put it on a professional rollerblader's body, and that'd be doing an awesome
head, wasn't
trick.
It? We just cut our head out.
We'd cut our head out and put it on and look like it was us doing the trick.
Yeah. But
pretty clever.
There was only one ICTM inline zine. There was issue 1, and that was it. But
yeah.
So it had some inline skating photos, but it also had, do you remember the what's hot and what's not section?
Oh, that was the classic section.
So that was it was tongue in cheek. And what was hot basically was everything that we were not interested in.
It's basically we were making fun of magazines like Dolly and all those type of cool magazines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things that was not hot was loving your parents. And we were quite okay with being known to love our parents. Unlike me when I was maybe 16 years old and I wouldn't walk down on the same side of the street as mum. But
yeah, I think you used to have a bit of an issue with that, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, I feel bad now, but I'm on good terms with my mother now. Hi, Mum.
And now that you're a parent, you're hoping that your children don't do the same thing.
Yeah, that would
break your heart.
Break my heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what were the other sections in ICTM Inline? I remember we had we'd gone down to play the keno, like the some gambling, and we wrote a little bit about that.
How old were we at this stage? Were you 18?
I think that was 98, so I would have been about 20, 21.
Yeah. And Keno had just come out then, hadn't it?
That's right.
It was all hot news, so we were covering the hot issues in
but
in
by
life.
and large, I mean, it was made primarily to be a rollerblading zine.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
And we did have lots of fans, remember? We had some fans that were wanting to be in the next issue.
That's right.
Never eventuated.
But I mean, we could still do it now, 22 something years on.
And we even had a friend down the road named David who actually started his own magazine.
A sister
because
publication.
of ours. He was inspired by the genius of ICTM Inline and
I think
decided to create his own publication.
Didn't he do a 3-page interview with us?
That's right. But did we even get interviewed, or was it?
Yeah. I remember it was a loose. But then I was reading these answers and I said, no, I wouldn't say that.
There was a bit of ad lib, wasn't it?
And a lot of typos in there. But still, I appreciated the effort, and I've still got it to this day somewhere.
Do you still have ours?
I think I've got the originals. I don't have like a copied version, but I've got the original, the masters.
At your house in Australia, or?
Yeah, in Australia.
Okay.
I'm just going past a little bamboo grove that's quite nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just
how tall are the bamboo?
Oh, they're not actually too tall, these ones, but they're nice because there's kind of grass between each one. And I've noticed, like when I saw bamboo in Australia, it tended to grow in these big clumps. But these ones, they're all actually all separate. And here, that's a little bamboo shoot there. You can actually dig that up.
Little bamboo.
Yeah. You can dig them up and basically that's where you eat bamboo shoots. You have to boil it for about an hour or so. But what's interesting about these, if I came back later this afternoon, they would probably be up about here or so. They can grow up to like a meter or so in a day. And
well, you're joking.
No, they really can. I didn't believe it too until I saw it. And then
a fox. There's a fox. Wow. We can go.
See, this is where you tune into our slow television. You see this kind of stuff.
Wow, he was cute little fella. He was right.
電話で話してます。
So my brother here is his Kama's in Japan and he's talking to people on the phone, and he had to explain to the elderly folk. I'm assuming the elderly folk.
Yeah.
Up at this time in the morning.
It's the first person I've kind of gone past today.
Yeah, and normally he would probably chat to them for 20 minutes because they're friendly out there. But
Definitely.
today he was in business doing our
That's right.
inaugural vlog or whatever.
What are we going to call this thing? It's kind of new, so it's hard to...
Look, let's let it evolve and it will become what it becomes.
Yeah, but the Kama and Blowy Show is a good start.
That's right.
Yeah. So
anyway,
that's
continue.
line. The next broject, that we embarked upon was the Kama and Blowy series. I think we did 3 videos in total.
Yep, probably 3, maybe even 4.
What was the premise of the show, Blowy?
Well, the premise was that the younger brother was a young entitled lad.
Yes.
And he wanted his brother to get him a drink because his throat was parched. And his brother was a bit busy and he was a normal human being, and so he declined and said, sorry Blowy, I'm a bit busy now, get your own drink. And Blowy didn't take to that very nicely, so he went ahead and tried to kill his brother. And all the stories were basically the same storyline. The entitled young brat would ask his older brother to do something for him, but he always seemed to be busy.
What were some of the requests? I remember you asked Kama to get him a cheeseburger. I think that was the
first one was a glass of water.
That's right.
If I remember correctly.
Yes.
It was, hey Kama, get me a glass of water. And then Kama said, nah, Blowy, I'm busy. What were you busy
I was doing my thesis.
Your thesis. That's right. And then I went and chased you, and I ended up throwing you out of a 2-story building.
That's
and
right.
we got we got our clothes together and stuffed them and made a makeshift dummy.
That's right. And Woody drove over it, didn't he?
That's right. Now I worked at a large chicken franchise at the time, and I was working hard, and I saved up and purchased, saved up for at least a year, and spent about $1,000, and purchased a video camera, a Sony Handycam, and because I wanted to study, I was studying film and television, and so we had this camera at our disposal, which we could make lots of videos with. So continue, Kama.
That's right. When we got a lot of value out of that camera there. So I think my favorite stunt, though, I think it maybe it was the one where you asked me for a cheeseburger. And anyway, you asked me for a cheeseburger, and I escaped because you did your lolly, and I got on my bicycle and rode up to the Scotts Points cliffs.
Oh yeah.
And this bicycle I'd been in a crash in this bicycle already, where I ended up on the roof of a car because somebody didn't stop at a give way sign. It wasn't me. I wasn't in fault this time. And I'm just crossing a road. You've got to keep my wits about me here, Blow.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about the video you were crossing the road when the car hit you. No.
Interesting segue. But anyway, so we put this dummy, another dummy, just basically clothes filled with more clothes and maybe a broomstick or something, and we put it on top of this bicycle
for the bones,
and rolled it off this cliff. And I mean, the moment you saw it, it was so obvious that it wasn't a real person, but that's what added to the charm.
Oh, for sure. I think it'd be a bit weird if it looked realistic.
Yeah. I think there was another one where a friend of ours, Aaron, as well. We got him. He could do backflips, so we got him to do a backflip as part of a fight move, and make it look like he'd fallen over or something.
Yeah, stunt.
And then
stunt.
Him and someone else took me down to the ocean and threw me in, and I pretended to be dead, so I just had to hold my breath with like floating face down.
That's right. I went and bought my cheeseburger myself.
That's right.
And ate it in front of the camera. That's right.
Yes.
And one of my favourite scenes from the movie was pretty dumb, but Snaz, the guy we're talking about, we were chasing him, and no, he was being chased actually, and so he indicated one way and then turned the other, and it tricked the guy behind him to turn the wrong way.
Yeah, and he ended up following the indicated way instead of the actual way, didn't he?
Exactly.
Classic.
Just classic gags like that were our forte.
Yes.
So that was our Kama and Blowy. So what's next on our road?
Well, there are still a few more, but now, I mean, we're almost at the half an hour mark. So I think that we're going to save the other brojects for a future episode.
You reckon we go? All right. So let's finish with something interesting here, and let's just tell them what we're up to at the moment.
Sure. You go ahead first.
Well, before this pandemic hit, I've moved to Melbourne. We're both from Brisbane, Australia, and look, we both lived overseas and stuff, but we always used to go back to Brisbane. So I've moved to Melbourne now, and I'm loving it here. And I've actually started skating a lot more again. So I've started making my own skate videos, which is like I go to skate parks and I review every individual skate park and put a skate park review. So I've put an end to that at the moment with all skate parks being closed in Australia. So once they get open again, I can jump back into that. But my day job, I'm a web designer, graphic designer, head of digital at a leadership development company. Yeah, over to you, Kama.
Okay, so I was working in Brisbane, my dream job as a video journalist, but I also had another dream. I wanted to do a extended trip around the world with my family and freelance along the way. So we did that, but I'm here now in Kagoshima, as you can see. I've kind of set up in a place here. The reason for that is there's two real reasons. Of course, there's coronavirus, but the second reason, can you hear that chime in the background? Maybe you can't. This is a chime that goes across Japan every day. They're basically doing a test for their emergency broadcasts, and as part of that, at 7 a.m. every morning they ring this bell. 7 a.m. this morning. That's tautology. I shouldn't have said that. At 7 a.m.
And does it say this is a test of the emergency broadcast system?
No. It's just the chime. I understand that each city has their own kind of different chime they use. They probably have to pay royalties as well, so maybe what they can afford. But yeah, so anyway, because of coronavirus, but also because my wife became pregnant, we decided to settle down in Japan. She's Japanese, so we've got access to Japan, so I'm here on a spouse visa. And yeah, we're going to hang around here in southern Kyushu for a bit. My camera, because I'm a video journalist, it's currently out of order because I knocked the lens in Korea, and so I've just sent it off yesterday for repairs. But hopefully I'll be back in business soon.
Yeah, they might be a little bit late due to coronavirus.
And Golden Week, the longest Japanese public holiday, a string of public holidays in Japan.
When's that?
Oh, it's just starting.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think that's a nice place to end. Thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments what you thought.
Yeah, and if you've got any comments on what you'd like to see, look, we're open to any ideas, and
absolutely.
Just put them in the comments, and or follow us on Twitter as well.
Okay. See you later.
All right. See ya. Phew.